This is a demonstration of the new column moving and sorting functionality in the event viewer, which has recently been added in Netcall Omnibus Web GUI. Here is my event viewer, and I'm looking at the default view. And let's say that as an operator I want to move the first occurrence column into a different position. I can do that by first of all clicking on the column header, and that selects the column. And then if I move down into the data section for that column, the mouse pointer changes into a move symbol, and now if I use my left click on the mouse and drag, I can drag that column into a new position. So let's say I'm going to move it to the left in between the node and the alert group column. So there we go, it's now been moved. And now let's say I'm going to move the node column by clicking on the header and then dragging the column, let's say after the alert group column. And I can also move columns using keyboard controls rather than dragging with the mouse. So let's click on the acknowledge column. If I want to move the acknowledge column using keyboard controls, then I click on the header to give it focus and then use control left arrow or control right arrow to move. So I'm now pressing control right arrow and I'm moving that column to the right, and now control left arrow is moving it to the left. Now you may recall from earlier versions of Omnibus Web GUI that you can click on a column header in order to sort the data in the event list by that column. So let's say I want to sort these events in order of the acknowledged value. If I click on the sort icon in the heading here, then now the data becomes sorted in an ascending order of acknowledged. So I'll get the no values first and then the yes values. Now the reason I'm showing that is because now there is some additional administrator control in the event viewer, which I'm going to show you now by opening up the user preferences for Netcall Omnibus Web GUI. So I can do this because I'm an administrator. Now what I'm going to do is open up the preferences for this NCO user. So click modify. Now here, the allow custom sorting and allow column moving preferences are new. Those have been introduced recently in Web GUI, and by default they would be ticked. But in this case, for NCO user, the administrator has actually already come in here and they have disabled custom sorting and column moving for that particular user. So if they did that, they'd save the settings for that user, and then now what I'm going to show you now is what happens when I log in as NCO user. So let me log out. Now let me log back in as NCO user. So if I open the event viewer now, so now I'm the NCO user, and if I click on a column heading to select the column now, when I move into the data section, you can see that the mouse pointer doesn't change, so I'm not able to drag that column. Similarly, if I try and click on the header to give it focus and use control right or left, that doesn't work either. And also the sort icons have gone from the column header, and that means that clicking on a column heading no longer sorts the data. So those two features have been disabled for me as NCO user.